Hey, what's going on, all of my friends out there? Welcome to Gamers with Games. So a lot of cool, exciting stuff to talk about ever since yesterday during the PlayStation Experience keynote. I tuned in to the actual event and I actually did a reactive podcast over on the Koalition.com where I gave my impressions on every single little thing going on with my friend Richard Bailey Jr., the editor-in-chief of the Koalition, where we talked about everything. So I really encourage you guys to go check it out. There'll be a link somewhere here on the screen so you guys can check that out. But a couple things I do want to kind of get more into detail about, specifically Final Fantasy VII Remake, that was shown, the gameplay footage in the trailer that was shown during the actual PlayStation keynote. While there was a whole bunch of different announcements that were during the keynote presentation, including Uncharted 4, the introduction of a new character, as well as a whole bunch of other new games that are coming to the PlayStation brand and the different PlayStation consoles and systems. Final Fantasy VII Remake, on top of Ni no Kuni 2, were two of the biggest announcements during the keynote yesterday. Now, for me, obviously, Final Fantasy VII is a huge deal, like it is for most of you guys out there that's probably watching this vlog, as well as gamers around the world. Final Fantasy VII is one of those games that really holds a special place in everybody's hearts as one of the best RPGs ever created. Debatable, I understand, probably as far as being the best of the series or not. Everybody has their own opinion on it. But specifically why I want to talk about the Final Fantasy VII Remake is because a couple things I want to bring to everybody's attention and some food for thought for all of you guys out there. In my opinion, I'm kind of glad that the Final Fantasy VII Remake is making a lot of changes to the formula that was established in the original Final Fantasy VII. Specifically, the battle system, the combat that's going to take place in Final Fantasy VII Remake. From what we've seen in the trailer, it looks very similar to that of Final Fantasy XV. A lot of people are throwing out there that it looks very similar to Kingdom Hearts, specifically because of the different HUD layout and such, but comparing the two, both Final Fantasy XV and Final Fantasy VII Remake, you can see that there's starking similarities right there, much more so than it would be to actually Kingdom Hearts 3 or just the Kingdom Hearts franchise. I really believe that Square Enix is taking a lot of what they've learned and what they've established with Final Fantasy XV as far as blending the real-time combat and the active battle time system from their various Final Fantasy games and blending them together to make this really awesome hybrid that still has the kind of strategy and the nuances of that turn-based combat with the excitement and the action of real-time battles. That, I think, is where really Final Fantasy Remake is going to shine. That's why I think it's for the better, because a lot of people, especially purists out there, I know there's a lot of you purists out there that are fans of Final Fantasy VII or just fans of the Final Fantasy series in general, that really wanted this remake just to have the visual overhaul and keep the same type of nuanced battle system that was established in the original FF7. I think that's a detriment. I think that because this is a remake and because this is a complete overhaul of the entire game and a whole fresh new coat of paint, that's awesome. But I think that it needs to be a little bit more modernized and it needs to be changed up in order to kind of work for the masses. The combat system in Final Fantasy VII, there was a lot of problems with it. A lot of people have to have these kind of nostalgia glasses on their eyes and really ignore all the different problems that were with Final Fantasy VII. The battles took a little bit too long. You couldn't skip a lot of the animations, if any of them, from my understanding. I know in the port for Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 4, which I got yesterday after the keynote when it went live on the PlayStation Store, you have the ability to speed up time and such, with the press, I believe it's the left analog stick on your DualShock 4. It allows you to skip through a lot of those long animations and those dragging battles and kind of speed things up a little bit. But the original game back on the PlayStation 1 and I think on some of the other platforms it's been ported to, didn't have that feature. And there was just no way either to turn the animations off or just to hit X just to bypass everything, to keep things moving, keep the action flowing. The game really dragged on at times, and there was a lot of moments, because of the limited technology at the time where, you would find yourself a little bit lost in the map trying to figure out where to go. You would find yourself in battles that were ridiculously hard for, a variety of different reasons that just dragged on and kept going and going and going, and you would waste a lot of your resources. There are little things like that. Now, don't get me wrong, some of those were products at the time and that really contributed to the storytelling of what was unfolding over those 3 discs of Final Fantasy VII. But with this being now a modern take on the actual game, a modern take on the story, and Square Enix, has learned so much since back then in 1997, it's time to implement all those good things from all the games they've had up to this point and really make Final Fantasy VII Remake something incredibly special and something that's going to be considered legendary for years to come in the RPG genre. So I'm really excited about this. If you guys haven't checked out the actual trailer, there's going to be a link right here in the actual frame here, a little annotation, so you guys can check out the full trailer. The gameplay looked phenomenal. Again, a lot of similarities to Final Fantasy 15. I noticed a lot of the cool sparkle and sheen effects from all the attacks that Cloud and Barret were actually doing. It kind of reminded me a little bit of how the way Noctis controls in Final Fantasy 15, if you've played Episode Du Sky. Cloud had a lot of similar movements, and a lot of his attacks, from my understanding, especially that one where he charges forward with the Buster Sword, reminds me of an attack that Noctis has in Final Fantasy 15. So again, I love the exploration stuff from what I've seen in the trailer. I love the new look of Barret. A lot of people are really talking about Barret's like overhauled look. He looks a little bit different than his Advent Children kind of version, and definitely a lot more cleaner and better than the original design of his FF7 counterpart. So the remake just looks fantastic. He's got a Gatling gun on his arm. It's not no longer just a block, just a random little kind of like small turret gun. This actually looks like a big mini gun that he kind of like holds around with him. That looks awesome. The other characters that we saw in there, Wedge, Biggs, all the different characters and such, that's pretty awesome. So I cannot wait to see more footage down the line. I don't think this game is coming out anytime soon. I definitely don't expect it to drop next year. I think next year is going to belong to Final Fantasy 15. I think maybe the following year or the year after that is when we'll get Final Fantasy VII Remake. So that's all I got for you guys. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you guys think about Final Fantasy VII Remake, the new footage, any of the stuff from PlayStation Experience, Ni no Kuni, Uncharted 4, PlayStation VR, any stuff you guys want to talk about, and I will talk to you guys real soon. Peace out. Stay epic, everybody.